I want to talk to you for just a moment about the concept of honor this morning. When I was growing up, like most children, I had my own perspective of how the world worked and how my family worked. And one of the things that was most interesting to me was the success that my father experienced relative to the rest of his family. My father grew up in a home of extreme poverty, but there was also domestic violence in the home, severe substance abuse. And when I was just a young boy, I have memories of my father sharing his faith with his father, with my grandfather, and my grandfather physically laying hands on my dad and throwing him out of the house. And the amount of drama and the amount of trauma associated with this is phenomenal. And yet my father was a successful man, even though he had never graduated from high school. And so I would watch this, of course, a childish perspective, but I remember watching and seeing all of the difficulty in all of my father's brothers and sisters and his parents. But my dad, it seemed to be, was protected, was very different. He was making progress. We were making progress. I remember the pain associated with that part of the family. I probably only saw my paternal grandfather a dozen times, 15 times in my life that I can remember. And I remember feeling the pain that my father had over the situation. I remember the phone calls in the middle of the night over the drama that they were going through, the request for money, the pressure. I remember an uncle showing up to stay with us and him disappearing 2 days later, and the FBI and the Treasury Department showing up right behind it. It's hard to imagine some of these things. By the time I was about 7 years old, I had developed this habit that whenever the phone rang, I cringed, thinking it might be my father's father, and the pain and the concern. And so when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I began to pray that God would take my grandfather off the earth, that my grandfather would die so that my father would not experience so much pain anymore, because there was so much pain. By the time Angie and I were engaged and preparing for marriage, my grandfather finally passed away. And I remember talking to her. She had never met that side of the family. She was wondering why. And I began to explain to her all of the pain that my dad had been through with his family. And I remember saying, this man was a waste of space on the planet, and I'm glad he's dead. He caused my father nothing but pain. That evening, or the next day, when I went down to the funeral home where my grandfather had lived and attended the visitation for friends and families, the parking lot was full. There were lines wrapped around the building. 95% of the people who were there for my father from his place of employment. They were there to honor him, not to honor my grandfather. The next day at the funeral, there were a handful of people other than friends or family, because, again, my grandfather never did anything significant in his life that I could see. When I went up that evening to the friends and family and stood with my father, as he's receiving this line of people to honor him and to express their sympathies, he excused himself from that and he said, I want you to walk with me. I want you to come with me to my father's casket. We walked up to my grandfather's casket, and in my mind, I'm just thinking, this man has done nothing but cause us pain and cause my father so much pain. I'm so glad he's gone. We walked up to the casket, and my dad looked at him and he said, pain, pain, so much pain. And again, in my mind, I just thought the same thing again. Yes, this man caused you so much pain. It's good that he's gone. I didn't say it, but then my father switched and he said, he never knew a day without pain. He never knew a day of peace in his life. Now he has peace. And my father had led his own dad to the Lord a few years prior to that, so we knew he was in a place of peace. But I was shocked. I was shocked that my father was able to overcome the pain, that he didn't think about himself, that he was able to see past my grandfather's difficulty and see his challenge, that he was able to see him with a redeemed view. And he was able to speak positively and honor him. And I began to realize this is why my father was able to make progress when all of his other family, his brothers and his sisters, were all mired in the identical problems, the poverty, the difficulty, the domestic violence, the substance abuse. And my father skated through it all. And of course, our family has made amazing progress. My brother and I were able to do things my parents never were. We were able to provide the same opportunity for our own children. But I know for a fact it's because my father was able to find a way to honor his own father, maybe when he deserved none. And that example and that experience transformed my life and changed me and showed me the power of honor. This works in families, this works in companies, this works in societies. We have to find a way to honor those who have gone before us, even when they don't deserve it. And somehow that is a key for us unlocking the progress of our own future. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope the new year is exciting and full of great opportunities and new hope for us all. Let's honor our past so that we can find the future that we're all looking for. Thank you, and God bless.